Heener. And then up top is Yanis Laclifi. That's the starting lineup for the Tommies. For North Carolina, as we're getting ready to go, Andrew Cordes continues to play and go as the Tommies are wearing purple left to right. Manny Mate, 5. Dylan Kropp, number 4. Riley Berge, number 33. Number 23, Callum Frogson. That is the back four that has been super stingy. A really good back line. A middle four on the left side, Nacho Abial. He's got 3 goals and 7 assists. Andrew Check with 3 assists, 27. Number 28, the big man, transfer from San Diego, Jack Sandmeyer. And then on the right side, Luka Nikolai coming off a couple goals. He's from Germany. Up top, Bertil Rygaard Hansen from Denmark, along with Gabriel Bracken Serra. Serra's got 4 goals and 1 assist as it's picked up and played out by Cordes. Cordes now will get it out to the right side. This is a one-camera game, so I say that to folks at home just so you know that there won't be replays on anything, including goals. So we'll do our best to be as accurate as possible. But even when a referee has to perhaps look at a video review, we will not be able to see that, just so you're all aware of kind of what we're dealing with together. And together, hopefully I can paint the picture, but you're seeing everything anyway, so I hope you enjoy the game here. They are expecting perhaps a little bit of rain around 7 o'clock. No lightning in the forecast, but don't be surprised if we see a little rain. I always feel like it never rains in Chapel Hill because it's always beautiful in God's country, but there could be some coming. Here's Czech, who's been so consistent. This is a cool game for St. Thomas because they were D3, and they're the first D3 school to ever prop up to D1. Went through the process, coming off of 4 years of not probation. They just weren't allowed to go to the NCAA tournament, but now they are eligible. Of course, they play in the Summit with some really good teams, and that was almost a really good goal by Czech. He thought it was a corner, and the referee said no. So let's get to know the referee. The man in the middle is Leland Grant. On one side is Daniel Canacanuai. The other side, Javier Rodriguez, and Dustin Thorne is your 4th official. Producing from our headquarters back over near the Dean Dome is Colin Beiersdorf, one of the best out there. And then also doing incredible work is Chloe Walrad. Chloe is always outstanding, so I want to thank the rest of our crew as we have a goal kick coming from the Tommies, St. Thomas. Both these teams have quite the international flair. We'll get into that a little bit as you take a look at their lineup. Their center back, Verona, is from Brazil. Their other center back is from Norway in Klebberg. As this will come all the way back to Krenz, who's from Germany, and he is a giant. Sent back, and this will come all the way back to Moritz Krenz, who has played all but 29 minutes and 20 seconds. He's given up just 12 goals, has a 1.12 goals against average, and comes in 30 saves with that 6-2-3 record. Andrew Cordes, the goalkeeper for the Tar Heels, has played every minute, 990 minutes, all 11 games, given up just 6 goals. Incredible. 0.55 goals against average with 27 saves. He's 6-1-4 with 6 clean sheets. As the foul there on Berge, they'll play advantage. And what a story Berge is. Been here 4 years, waited for his time, and he's on the ball now and has already scored a wonder goal, Golazo, in just his second start after appearing against Wake Forest, and that was right here at Dorrance Field. And Berge, I feel like, is already kind of becoming a fan favorite as he tries to pop this one long, looking for Nacho. Abial, Nacho, and it's denied right there. So Nacho already with a shot. Mate trying to get in the middle of it. Sandmeyer now We'll get it back to Nacho. Nacho with his right foot, looking far stick, trying to get to it, kept alive. Chance to head it back. Sarah is in the middle of it. Sarah now with 4 goals, and the Tommies get out of danger. Good tackle by Frogson on the far side to win it back. And there'll be a lot of times this game, I will say, good tackle by Frogson. He is just super consistent. He plays the outside back. He very much could play center back as well. He could play in holding mid as well. He's a good soccer player. This one loose in front, and it is sent out of bounds. Gabriel Bracken Sarah, the grad student transfer from USF. Earned the throw in, and now the Tar Heels will get ready to take the throw in. Taken back here by the Tommies, who I think are super eager to play this game. John Lowry, who was an assistant coach for Jay Vidovich at Wake Forest, knows all about the Tar Heels. Sandmeyer trying to keep it on the carpet as North Carolina has been dangerous here to start this game. Tommy's going the other way. 3 shots already, including 1 on frame for the Tar Heels, as they've forced Krenz to already make a save. With the Tommies offside, so that'll come back to North Carolina. This is the first ever matchup between UNC and St. Thomas. Head coach Carlos Samuano for North Carolina is in his 15th season at the helm of Carolina soccer, 24th overall, as he was the assistant coach for a long time. He holds a spectacular career record of 182, 64, and 53, and will coach his 300th game in this game right here. So game number 300 now in the books for Carlos Samuano at North Carolina. Mentioned his story before. His dad was a Cuban refugee, wanted a better life for his kids. They ended up in Texas, I do believe, to start. I might be a state off or so. I don't think I am, though. And then he got into soccer. He found out that Richmond was routinely the place where the College Cup was. So he's like, going to Richmond to get involved in college soccer. And next thing you know, he got involved, and Elmar Bolovich needed an assistant, and he eagerly got down to Chapel Hill. And when Elmar decided to leave to go to Creighton, the players kind of one by one sort of went in and said, Carlos Samuano's the man. And what a job he's done. Great winning percentage, including winning the national championship in his first season as the head coach, which coincidentally is exactly what Damon Nahas did on the women's side after the legendary Anson Dorrance retired. Won the national championship in his first season as head coach, as Damon now in his second official season. Here's Berge taking it from Froxson, and Berge with a long ball, but that'll go right to Moritz Krenz. Carolina is currently on a 7-match unbeaten run, winning 3 and drawing the other 4 against one of the nation's toughest schedules. The Heels have only conceded 2 goals over the 7 games. Their defense just ridiculous. And with the focus primarily on RPI, Carolina sits at number 18 entering the weekend, which is sixth among ACC squads. And here's the deal: 18 RPI gets you in the NCAA tournament, no matter what happens in the ACC tournament. So if they can keep clipping off some wins and impressive ties against really good teams, they will continue to be in good shape. Tar Heels winning the national championship in 2001 and 2011 off the head of Nacho Abial, and it's handled by the big man Krenz. Krenz will hit it a long way as it goes off the head of Kropp. Sandmeyer plays it down to Mate. Mate, an outside back who loves to get forward, so much so that at times it looks like a 3-back and other times even just a 2-back for the Tar Heels, and yet their defense is still flawless. Four shots for North Carolina, 2 of them on frame, forcing Krenz to make 2 saves already. And the Tommies looking to play it forward. There's Kropp again, now off the head of Frogson. And kept alive over there for a second by Nikolai. Luka Nikolai entered the 2025 season ranked number 9 on the Top Drawer Soccer's Top 100. He's tallied 3 goals, including a brace at Lipscomb and 2 assists this season. North Carolina coming off a 3-0 win over Lipscomb. This after a 1-0 win over Louisville. They've tied Virginia. They've tied SMU. They've tied Wake Forest. They've tied NC State. They beat Evansville, Seattle, and UCF. Their only loss on the season's at the College of Charleston, and what has been a pretty good season at 6-1-4, and again undefeated in conference play with 1 win and 4 ties. At home on the season, they're 4-0-2, so 4 wins and 2 ties. When they play on the road, they're 2-1-2. That only loss came down in Charleston, South Carolina. The Tommies win it in the middle of the park, as we've already played 12 minutes. Looking to switch it, read perfectly by Mate, who's got a great motor over on the left side. Here he goes, Mate, who's got to have pro scouts salivating, as he's a long, lanky left back, and every team wants a great left back, but he's kind of got a little different kind of body, and it makes him really exciting to watch. Here he is. He's not afraid to cut in, and he's got the burst to go with it. He'll drop it to Sarah. Now it'll find Abial. So Nacho drops it back. Here's Sandmeyer, as he'll come all the way back to Kropp. Frogson will get it far side to Nikolai. Now, good turn and trying to win it back for North Carolina, but just a little bit too late. Andrew Czech will sit in the middle with Sandmeyer, but you will see Nacho Abial with 3 goals and 7 assists, the transfer from SIUE, where he did so many great things for Cale Wasserman, a great coach who has done a nice job at SIUE. John Lowry played his collegiate soccer at The Ohio State University and then coached under John Bloom. In fact, coached under John Bloom and the Buckeyes through the 2006 season. And then in 2007, he joined Jay Vidovich and that talented team. And coincidentally, Wake Forest would win the national championship that year at ACCMen'sSoccer Park, and they would do that by coming from behind to beat the Ohio State Buckeyes, where John Lowry had just left his alma mater to join Wake Forest. So that were a little bit of irony in that situation, as I talked to him before the game. Mate drops it to Nacho, and Abial's touch a little bit too heavy. Despite missing 2 games, Gabriel Bracken-Serra leads the Tar Heels in goals with 4 and ranks second in points with 9. He scored the 6th-game winner of his career in UNC's win at Louisville last Friday. Meanwhile, Nacho Abial has made his presence during his first season as Tar Heel, as he currently leads the team in assists with 7 and points 13 and ranks second in goals. He's now scored 14 goals during his collegiate career, including 6 game winners to go along with 12 helpers. Kropp with a pretty good ball to Abial. Nacho, Sarah wanted it. Nacho drops it back over to Czech. Czech now. As North Carolina That was played in by Bertil Rygaard Hansen. And Bertil will take the throw in for North Carolina. We're 15 minutes in already, no score, non-conference tilt here, as we're actually winding down the season, working our way toward the ACC tournament and then the NCAA tournament, where North Carolina is always a fixture. It goes off the head of Froxson on the throw-in, and will go out of bounds over near the Tommy's bench. It'll stay with North Carolina. Couple touches, check. Usually just so clean and so precise with his passes. That one taken away. There's Froxson comes in to try to win the second ball, but now a chance to send a ball through. And Dylan Kropp, the senior transfer from Xavier, who's got a goal in the season, will bring it back to Andrew Cordes, who's clearly one of the best goalkeepers in the country. His numbers incredible. Spent just a little bit of time at Portland. Portland actually was number 1 in the country at one point this year. Cordes, a senior from Denver, Colorado. So the Tar Heels, after thinking about trying to build it out of the back, now send pretty much all the white jerseys past midfield, short of the 3 other players in the back line. This long ball sent. Sarah was hoping it would be flicked as he made the run shoulder to shoulder and would have been onside. In the meantime, the Tommies now win it at midfield, and there was a whistle in between that, so the Tommies will keep it. Miles Akibwe was waiting for a ball to get back on the field. They've got one now where the offside flag went up. One bounce. This is trouble as the Tommies are at the top of the 18. I'm telling you, they've come to play here in Chapel Hill. And this one off the crossbar. The referee was right there and did not bite on the penalty. But a big-time shot off the crossbars. The Tommies so close. They're going to stop the clock. They may take a look at it just to see if, in fact, there is a penalty. Now, again, for those of you at home, you won't be able to see it. I also won't be able to see it. So we'll wait patiently for the call as they check video review. And they are indeed checking to see if, in fact, the Tommies player was taken down inside the 18, which would lead to a penalty kick and potentially a yellow card. We'll see what happens. UNC all-time, as they check it, is an incredible 816, 392, and 138. They have 3 ACC tournament titles, 87, 2000, and 2011. They have 2 NCAA titles in 2001 and 2011. And no penalty. The record for the Tar Heels in the NCAA tournament, above 61%. They're 43, 25, and 12. That's in 31 NCAA tournament appearances. And they've been to 9, count them, 9 college cups. They've had 51 All-Americans, and 65 players have signed with Major League Soccer, which started back in 1996. That was off the head of Sandmeyer. Frogson over to Nikolai. And Nikolai is fouled. 4 shots for North Carolina, 1 for the Tommies. John Lowry, the top man, who, as I mentioned, spent time on the Wake Forest bench, but he has been at St. Thomas now for 14 years. He was the 2016 D3 National Coach of the Year, two-time MIAC tournament champions in 16 and 17, three-time MIAC regular season champion. Of course, they're now in the Summit League. Two-time Region Coaching Staff of the Year and three-time MIAC Coach of the Year. He has built a nationally respected Division III soccer program with the Tommies last decade, and now he's busy building the Division I format of this team. This is the 14th season for the Tommy men's soccer program. Lowry actually coached his 200th game with St. Thomas in the 2022 season, and he's the longest tenured coach in his school among the Summit men's soccer coaches. Rygard Hansen with that pace, defended well by the Tommies, and they'll keep it going. Lowry led his program's historic jump from D3 directly into D1 in 2021. The Purple have competed well over the first 4 seasons with visible progress in several areas, and they certainly know the future is bright, and they've shown it here early on as well. And Cordes doing a great job with those 6 shutouts and really good-looking goals against average. That's a nice play by Cordes. St. Thomas is in Minnesota. That's where Lowry's from. He's from Apple Valley, Minnesota. He was actually named the 1994 Gatorade Minnesota High School Player of the Year. He played collegiately at Ohio State and was the first Buckeye ever to be twice named first-team All-Big Ten. As North Carolina switches it, trying to find Nacho Abial. He later enjoyed a 4-year pro career in both the United Soccer League with the Minnesota Thunder and the Carolina Dynamo, and in Major League Soccer with the Tampa Bay Mutiny back in 2001. Lowry holds an A license from the U.S. Soccer Federation, as well as having an advanced national diploma from United Soccer Coaches, and completed his master's in sport management from UMass Amherst in 2006. He and his wife Gretchen are the proud parents to 2 boys, Owen and Isaac, and I'm pretty sure all 3 of them are here, and I think sitting over near the Tommy's bench as we are approaching the midway point of the first half. 4 shots for North Carolina, 1 shot for the Tommies. The score still 0-0. So it looks like we might have a yellow card, and we will. So a yellow card issued to the Tommies. And that'll go to number 7, Yanis Klafihi, who's a grad student from France who spent time at UMass Lowell. Headed, Nikolai will drop it over to Froxson, who gets it to Berge. Abial. Nikolai can't quite run it down. Berge scored that goal back on September 16th, a wonder goal that made SportsCenter's top 10 in a 3-0 win over Memphis. This was after he made his first appearance, coincidentally, against Wake Forest, where John Lowry spent some time as an assistant coach before becoming the head coach of St. Thomas. A whistle called against North Carolina. Sidney Kerr, who is 25 years old, spent time over in England with some of the better clubs right there, and he is a big man wearing that 1-6 jersey in the middle of the field, as well as the captain's armband for St. Thomas. Throw in for the Tommies as they played that one back. They keep possession here, and now a whistle and a foul called against the Tommies. With 21:33 remaining in the first half, no score. North Carolina and St. Thomas. Check. Brings it back to Berge. Now Frogson back to Check. Check's got Sandmeyer. He'll go through him to Mate. Mate now. Abial. Nacho Abial. Sarah wanted a piece of it. Now Sarah's got to hustle to try to get to it. Mate will clean it up. Mate squares it. Taken away. Sandmeyer also has it taken away. Now St. Thomas More will try to run downhill. Perfectly timed sliding tackle from Kropp. And now Check will head it to Sarah. Sarah's going to play it into space and keep North Carolina onside. This could be a goal here, folks. North Carolina trying to turn it back toward the end line. Check is there. Check has it knocked away. So now the Tommies can take a deep breath and see what they can do running the other way. As it finds for a moment number 10, Alejandro Hiner, who is a grad student from Spain, spent time at University of Albany before finding his way to St. Thomas. One player warming up right now for Coach Lowry and the Tommies, pretty much the entire team warming up for the Tar Heels, short of the goalkeepers. It's going to go out of bounds off of North Carolina and come back to St. Thomas. Still looking for our first sub of the game. And we're still sitting at 5 shots in the game, 4 going to North Carolina, 2 on frame. Twice the Tommies have been called for offside. Trying to keep it in bounds is Nacho Abial. Great hustle. Here's Sarah. And Sarah will be whistled for the foul as he goes right through Schaefer, the sophomore from the state of Minnesota. They try to nutmeg Mate. That's not going to work, but it'll stay with St. Thomas. As we are now approaching 19 minutes remaining in the first half. Decent crowd here. They were giving away hats to the first few hundred coming in. Hats look pretty nice, too, by the way. North Carolina, even their giveaways are pretty special. Berge, a little bit of trouble there. Already they had one video review to check to see if North Carolina hadn't caused a penalty kick for St. Thomas. They ruled no penalty kick. Otherwise, it might be 1-0 Tommies. And Tommies now take it away again. It's the 25-year-old rock in there. Kerr back into the 18. Nobody home on that far side. Now Mate will look ahead. Mate can dribble a little bit. He's got Nacho Abial on his left. Nacho didn't exactly take off, though. Nacho kind of stayed back. Berge trying to change the point of attack. Great little flick. As that'll work its way to Bertil Rygaard Hansen. Nacho Abial, great closing speed. Good shoulder-to-shoulder tackle. Nacho, far post, over the head of Bertil Rygaard Hansen. It'll be a goal kick back to the Tommies. Nacho Abial leads the Tar Heels with 13 points. Gabriel Bracken-Serra in second with 9. Luka Nikolai coming off a couple goals against Lipscomb in that 3-0 win at 8 points. Ryan Dugan, who could feature off the bench at 4. Andrew Check's got 3. Bertil Rygaard Hansen's got 3. And Riley Berge with that SportsCenter top 10 goal against Memphis has 2. You need to Google that. Just Google Riley Berge versus Memphis, and you will see a wonder goal from number 33, spelled Berge. And Riley spelled Riley. Good little touch around the Tommies. Somehow stays in bounds. Abiel tries to close, as we've got just 16 minutes and 30 seconds left. Fall has finally arrived. I mean, a week ago we're playing this game in 82-degree weather. Last night it finally cooled down, and then today it's been cool pretty much all day long, but very pleasant, still 60 plus. As I did mention, there is the potential for some precipitation later tonight. Off the head of Crop, now to Froxson. Dorrance Field, formerly known as Fetzer Field, the home to so many wins for the women's team and the men's team over the years. Of course, Anson Dorrance with a legendary career for the women's team, winning 23 total national championships and winning the 1991 World Cup, the first ever. It was held in China. So the field appropriately renamed to Dorrance Field. Wonderful venue. One of the top college soccer venues you'll see in the country. It's interesting, Erica Dombach, the great coach from Penn State, they are now adding a kind of a similar sort of building behind one of the goals over there by Beaver Stadium on the campus of Penn State. I think that kind of resembles what they built here in Chapel Hill. Of course, the most sincerest form of flattery is doing something that somebody else has done. This is trouble right here. As the Tommies were in the 18, Abial knocks it with the bottom of his foot, hoping to find Sarah. Now watch Sarah try to put on some pressure here, as Sarah will go at Krenz. That forces Krenz to hit it a little bit quicker. Nacho Abial was there to try to win it. Now the Tommies side of the foot. There's Krop, who wins so many aerial battles. Here's Berge. Berge feels a little bit of pressure, then comes forward. That also looked like a handball, but it'll go out of bounds. It'll be a throw in back to Nikolai in North Carolina. Still stuck on 4 shots for North Carolina and just 1 for St. Thomas, the Tommies, who are settling into D1, making that jump from D3 to D1 as they look for Nacho Abial. Boy, early on, it looked like North Carolina was going to put a couple in the back of the net, but since then the Tommies have settled down a little bit. Berge with a nice trap. He'll get it to Frogson. Rygaard Hansen drops it to Czech, and he'll get it back to Bertil Rygaard Hansen. Here's Czech again. Back to Bertil. You saw Mate, the left back, in and around the 6. Here's Berge winning it over on the far side, and he is fouled, so it'll be a free kick opportunity. More folks working their way in to watch North Carolina. Long ball sent in and right into the hands of the big goalkeeper, the junior from Germany, Moritz Krenz. Krenz will hang on to it with 12:30 remaining here in the first half. Sarah, as everybody's on side. Bertil. And Bertil Rygaard Hansen earns a corner kick Corner kick coming for North Carolina for the sophomore from Denmark. Gabriel Bracken-Serra, the grad transfer out of USF, will take the corner, as it does look like Carlos Samuano will try to work in a couple subs here with under 12 minutes remaining in the first half, still at zeros. Serra goes short. This one high in the air. Kropp got a piece of it. And now it's going to go out of bounds over near the fourth officials table, where we will see these two subs, I think, work their way into the game. Let's see who is going out. One of those players going out will be Gabriel Bracken-Serra, wearing number 29. And coming into the game, Dan Klink, who is a big, tall freshman. Klink didn't really do the club scene, but was a big-time high school player and a nice pickup for North Carolina. Tremendous size up top as a 9. Nacho Abial. Mate, overlapping run. Good sliding tackle, but Mate stays with it. Mate still dancing. Still has Nacho if he needs him. Mate instead gets it to Nikolai. Now on the far side, check. Back across again and headed there by Mate, but not quite on frame. So still 0-0 here in Chapel Hill, Dorrance Field, on a nice, cool, yet comfortable Saturday evening. No football game for Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels because they'll play on Thursday night. They sit at 2-3 in the Chapel Bill era. And we've got exactly 10 minutes remaining here in the first half. 5 shots now for North Carolina, 2 on frame. Just 1 shot for John Lowry's Tommies. I mentioned John Lowry, a 2-time All-Big Ten selection for Ohio State, admitted that he took a little bit of time and built his schedule around Ohio State's win today over Illinois. The Buckeyes, the number 1 football team in the country and reigning national champs. Nacho Abial. This guy's got an engine that is just always on. Always. Mate. Such a good dribbler. So fun to watch. Boy, with his right foot, he was trying to spring check. Sandmeyer, big, tall, holding mid, nice presence in the middle of the park. Kind of connects the back line to the midfield for Carlos Samuano. And Nacho Abial, that was definitely a pass. It'll go out of bounds and back to the Tommies and their giant goalkeeper, Moritz Krenz. Krenz listed at 6'5" out of Germany. And he is all of that and then some. I mean, he looks like the kind of guy that Bill Belichick could use maybe as a tight end or an outside linebacker. As he rips that goal kick to midfield, little flick. Nice shield far side by Frogson. It'll be a throw in North Carolina. The Tar Heels. Good pass to Nacho Abial. Nacho trying to play it to Nikolai. Nacho looking to stay with it, and it's picked up by Krenz. He was actually trying to find Ryan Dugan, the freshman from St. Louis, and the St. Louis Soccer Club, wearing number 11, who came in with those 2 subs that Carlos Samuano has made. Dan Klink and Ryan Dugan. Coach Lowry has made a couple saves as well, as there'll be a corner kick coming for North Carolina. With just over 7 minutes remaining in what has been a Pretty pacey first half. So joining Abial for the corner is Dugan. They'll come all the way out to Nikolai. Nikolai, good pass, far stick, but not as good as I thought, as it will go out of bounds and come back to the Tommies. No score, North Carolina and St. Thomas, now a D1 program out of Minnesota. Not too many of them in the state of Minnesota. The Golden Gophers do not have a men's program. The Tommies here breaking into the 18, defended perfectly by Kropp, and now Kropp will get it out to Nacho Abial. Abial will play it quickly here to Dan Klink. And Nacho will get it back to Sandmeyer. Now Andrew Check. Frogson has got a pretty good motor on him as well. Nikolai. Frogson back to Sandmeyer. Sandmeyer back to Nikolai. Played forward to Klink. Klink now with Check in the corner. Check's got it. Check will be looking to earn a throw-in or a corner kick. It'll be the former. So a throw-in coming for North Carolina with 5:35 remaining in the first half. 5 shots for North Carolina. 1 shot for the Tommies out of St. Thomas. 2 shots on goal for North Carolina, none for St. Thomas. And North Carolina has got a chance to send one into the mixer, but not going to be at that time as Krenz has it in that 6'5" frame. 2 corners for North Carolina, none for St. Thomas. And the Tommies have been called offside twice. North Carolina's been clean. No offside against Carlos Samuano's team. Mate. The turn from Check. Check runs into 4 purple jerseys. Really nice touch in the middle of the field there by number 8, Matisse Gouffra. Gouffra gets a touch there. And it was Frogson who gets it over to Berge. Sandmeyer calling for it, gets it back to Berge as we're now at about 4:15 left here in the first half. Abial can make so much happen from this left side. Back to Sandmeyer. Long pass far side. Check was calling for it as Nikolai slides back in. And Nikolai wins it back after they lose it, and St. Thomas wins it right back. Sliding tackle from Nikolai. It'll go out of bounds and be a throw-in for the Tommies. 0-0. I believe most of you are seeing the far side where the benches are, and I can tell you the near side, nice crowd, including quite a bit of purple, as St. Thomas is represented here in Chapel Hill. Not a bad trip to make if you're from Minnesota, where, again, the weather's been so incredible. Even Minnesota weather has been outstanding, but it's going to get a little bit colder there in the tundra. So a visit to North Carolina, got to be a nice bonus for the parents of these young lads for St. Thomas. Even perhaps some of the international lads. Abial hoping to earn a corner. Good hustle, though, from the Tommies as we're at 2:40 remaining here. Check. He thought for a moment about go ahead and taking a long shot there, then brought it back. Frogson. Far side to Nikolai. Nikolai now back to Sandmeyer. Sandmeyer keeps it on the ground. Sliding tackle won by the Tommies, and that does enough for the Tommies to win it back here. Let's see if they can do anything with it. It's knocked out of bounds off North Carolina as we're approaching right now 2 minutes remaining in the first half. No score. 5 of the 6 shots belong, though, to the home team, North Carolina. Tar Heels coached by Carlos Samuano, assisted by Grant Porter, Michael Harrington, and Jeff Nagalia. Great to see Jeff Nagalia in person before the game. It had been quite some time. Used to see him a lot, as I used to call a lot of NC State games when George Kiefer was the top man. What a job Coach Hubbard has done with the Wolfpack. They are having an incredible season. Krenz hustles over to avoid what could perhaps been a costly corner kick, and now he'll pick it up. Five shots. Nacho Abial has 2. Czech has 1. Sandmeyer has 1. And Mate, the left back, has 1 for North Carolina. The lonely shot from the Tommies has come from Baraka Kania. Nacho Abial wins it. Dugan drops it down to Czech. Nikolai, Scott Dugan in front of him. He'll get it back to Czech. Czech's touch was a little heavy. Allows that clean tackle from the Tommies as we're at 25 seconds left. Let's see if the Tommies want to blast one long and try to get a shot on Cordes here late. It looks like that's what the coaching staff was calling for. But it also looks like the final seconds are going to tick down here on what is going to be a scoreless first half. So we played 45 minutes in Chapel Hill at Dorrance Field, and it's North Carolina 0 and out of Minnesota, St. Thomas 0. We'll step aside and be back for the start of the second half. You're watching college soccer men's style on ACC Network Extra. ACC Network Extra proud to welcome you back to historic Dorrance Field, home to the North Carolina Tar Heels, the men's soccer team, taking on St. Thomas More, who went D1 just a few years ago from D3. North Carolina coming in with 6 wins, 1 loss, and 4 ties. St. Thomas More 6-2-3. North Carolina back out there in the white kits, the Carolina blue shorts and white socks, and in the all-purple, the Tommies out of St. Thomas. Your stat line for the first half: 5 shots for North Carolina, 2 on frame, 1 shot for the Tommies, none on frame. They forced Krenz to make 2 saves with that 6-5 frame. 5 fouls for North Carolina, 4 for St. Thomas. 2 corners for the Tar Heels, none for the Tommies. And the Tommies were offside twice. North Carolina was not offside at all. The second half is underway, and North Carolina will boot it long. North Carolina making 2 changes in the first half, bringing on Klink and Dugan. Klink has stayed in the game, and so has Dugan to start the second half. The back 4 of Mate, Kropp, Berge, and Froxton stays the same for Carlos Samuano. Sandmeyer, the big, tall, holding mid, also stays in there. Here's Kropp over to Mate, who was quite effective, I thought, in the first half. Really dynamic, because it's one thing to have a left back that can get forward and cross the ball. It's another one to have a left back that can dribble as well as Mate does. This one saved along the end line. Klink plays it back, and now it's Nacho Abial, and a massive save from Krenz. Best save of the game, but a corner kick coming for North Carolina. So a really good start for Carlos Samuano's team here in the second half in front of a nice crowd. Again, particularly on the side over near my broadcast position. A lot of students, quite a few families as well. You love to see it. Here's Dugan with Nikolai over there. If they want to go short, they'll give it to Nikolai. Nikolai feels the pressure, gets it back on his left foot, gets it inside, and Klink gets his head on it and almost made it 1-0. Just missing, though, to come back to the Tommies. Second half underway. Still no score. North Carolina, a defensive juggernaut, as they just do not allow many goals. And you know what? They never really have in the Carlos Samuano era, as Andrew Cordes has given up just 6 goals on the season. Tommy's not bad. They've given up 12 goals on this season. Sandmeyer wins that header clean over Sidney Kerr, the 25-year-old pro out there. Looking for the handball, doesn't get it. Berge, his touch gets away from him, and it'll be a throw-in back to St. Thomas. He's coming forward to take the throw is number 15, Baraka Kania. Kania with the throw-in for St. Thomas out of Minnesota. As I mentioned, rare to find a D1 men's program in Minnesota. There's not even that many D1 women's programs in Minnesota. But there's some good soccer in Minnesota. The Minnesota Thunder Academy, one of the best you're going to find. And, of course, Minnesota on the MLS side routinely sells out, and they've got a really good team that is among the leaders. They're led in Minnesota by Manny Lagos, the son to Buzz Lagos, who's another legend in Minnesota. Manny was with the 1992 U.S. Olympic team. Great to spend time with him, as I was the press officer for that team. And now Manny has a son who plays for the Duke Blue Devils men's soccer team. So periodically a Manny Lagos sighting will happen over at Koskinen Stadium and for the Duke Blue Devils, which, by the way, the Duke Blue Devils will be the final stop here in Chapel Hill for the regular season schedule of the North Carolina Tar Heels. That is always a great game for obvious reasons. Everybody knows about the Duke-UNC rivalry. But in men's soccer and women's soccer, it continues to get better and better every year. 4+ minutes into the second half. Still no score. Tommies. Sometimes you got to go backwards to go forward. That's what they're trying to do right now as they try to connect the dots. That was Berge who came up at the right time. Good trap here from the Tommies as Nikolai comes over. Froxon's going to lose it. So now the Tommies have a chance to go around the corner. Froxon keeps battling. Referee does not blow the whistle. Well done by the referee as Nikolai settles it out of there. Tough pass to Czech and one back by Kerr. 25 years young. He looks older than that, to be honest with you. Top of the 18 and trying to curl one around and in was Ronan Selvo, the freshman from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Washburn High School. So here's Cordes. Obviously not as big as Cleanse, but when you have played every second of every game in the kind of schedule that Carlos Samana always puts together and allowed only 6 goals, doesn't matter your size. He is legit, and he's healthy now too, which is important as he had to miss some time with some injuries over the last couple years, but he is rolling. Here's Berge. Now Frogson. Over to Czech. Czech just keep things simple. Sandmeyer trying to pop it to Dugan. And now Krenz will have it. Good pressure from Nikolai, which allows Froxon to come forward. Froxon running downhill. He'll square it. Running right into it is Nacho Abial, and he'll send this one high off the video board. Great run from Froxon and a really nice squared ball. Dean Linke, along with our production crew of Colin Beiersdorf, Alabama, and Chloe Walrad, Auburn. Alabama actually on the women's side beating Auburn just the other day. Good ball, far side. Oh, what a save. With just one mighty paw. The incredible strength right there coming from Moritz Krenz, the junior out of Germany, keeping this one scoreless. And Krenz has been really, really good. He's got 4 saves on the game, and that last one, a point-blank save, all arm and power to keep this one at 0-0. I was certain the North Carolina Tar Heels were going to make the celebration turn, but instead they'll head over for a corner, which means they still have a chance to score right here. But at the moment, Krenz is, they say for goalkeepers, standing on his head and using that, not only that 6'5" frame, but a whole lot of strength in his arms and hands. Krenz will slide over. Mate was trying to find Froxon. Nacho Abial will handle the throw-in duties. North Carolina, just like that, with 9 shots, 4 on frame, forcing Krenz to make 4 saves, 2 spectacular saves. Manuel Mate has it ripped. One right back, though, by North Carolina. Starting to play with some urgency, a little bit too far out in front of Klink. And it'll come back to Krenz and the Tommies. John Lowry, assisted by Cody Cropper, who's been with the team for 3 of the 14 seasons that John Lowry's been there. And then also Radal Fierro Perez in his 2nd season as an assistant coach for the Tommies. I mentioned earlier John Lowry, a 2-time All-Big Ten selection with John Bloom and the Buckeyes, and then stayed on the staff for quite some time, left in 2006, and the next year there he was going against his alma mater in the national championship game. Roger Espinoza, who had an incredible career at Sporting KC, and who dates Loel Labonta, who is a superstar for Kansas City Current. They might even be married. I'm not totally sure about that. He scored first. There's a goal for North Carolina, and the Tar Heels score first as putting it in the back of the net. Number 9, Dan Klink, the freshman out of Towson, Maryland. Klink, with his first goal as a Tar Heel, makes it North Carolina 1, St. Thomas 0. Luka Nikolai with the assist in minute 56, and this time the 6'5" Krenz could not stop it as a perfectly headed ball by the 6'4" freshman Dan Klink. So Dan Klink, who went to the Loyola Blakefield School and played for the Pipeline Soccer Club, gets his first goal as a member of the Tar Heels, and I feel like more are going to come for the talented center forward. Kropp also will get the hockey assist along with Nikolai. Bounces over the head of Czech. Good little touch by Dugan to Klink. The 2 subs have done well. They play it to Nacho Abial. He's onside. Nacho. Dugan was open. Far stick. Dugan there. Goes back across and headed in again. Klink's got a brace. And it's 2-0 Tar Heels. Meanwhile, the referee checking with the linesman, and that means they're going to just take a look to make sure that the Tar Heels were onside, reminding you that I will not have a look at it, nor will you, so we'll have to wait and see what the referee has to say. And otherwise, it's Klink and Klink, or we'll just have one Klink. Either way, North Carolina is on top. Right now, Leland Grant is going to take a look, though, to make sure nobody was offside for the Tar Heels. There's actually a chance, dare I say, sorry Tar Heel fans, that Klink was offside as he was basically hanging on to the far post over there, which means there's not a whole lot of room to get a defender to keep him onside. It's all about timing. While the Tar Heels were celebrating in the far corner, I can tell you that the official was having a conversation with the assistant referee on the other corner. The assistant referee clearly casting enough doubt for the referee to want to take a look at it. So the clock is stopped with 34-17 remaining in the second. And it's a matter of is it 2-0 or will it be the Tommy's ball right in front of the goal line, because that's where the offside flag has to be, just basically about as close to the goal line as possible. That's where Klink was hanging out. An extra long look during this video review. Captain Obvious, John Lowry, hoping that they find Klink or somebody in the Tar Heel white, and they're going to count it as a goal. So nobody offside, and it's 2-0. And how about Dan Klink, the freshman from Towson, Maryland, scores his first 2 goals as a Tar Heel, and both come as a sub here. He subbed in late in the first half and started the second half, and it has paid it off for Carlos Samuano as the Tar Heels are up 2-0. Klink with both of them. This time he was assisted by Dugan and Nacho Abial. So it's 2-0 North Carolina with a mountain of time left, 33:50 left here in the second half. A 0-0 first half, but all kinds of action with a lot of game time left here. North Carolina with not 1 but 2 goals from Dan Klink, and that's the difference in the game. North Carolina 2, St. Thomas out of Minnesota. The Tommies still sitting at 0 and still sitting with just 2 lonely shots on the game. Nikolai, who's already got an assist, will run this one down. He's going to try to earn a corner kick, can't do it. And so the Tommies trying to get it out of North Carolina's offensive third. Here's Sandmeyer, who heads it right back down. Pretty good job by Sandmeyer, and he'll get it again. Kind of a tough ball to Frogson, but Frogson makes the most of it. Here's Kropp now. Kropp's got an assist in this game. Klink with both goals. Here's Frogson again. Look at that little neat touch. And then a second neat touch. This entire back line is so much fun to watch. How many times do you say that, folks, when you watch a soccer game? But the 2 center backs are really entertaining, and the outside backs for North Carolina, they've got good size, they've got good pace, they're not afraid to go forward, they're not afraid to shoot, they're not afraid to dribble. They can do a little bit of everything. So Carlos Samuano has a couple players wearing the pennies, warming up down in the corner. Tommies will earn a goal kick. So with 2 second-half goals from the freshman Dan Klink, first one coming in minute 56, assisted by Dugan and Abial. And then Klink, literally 37 seconds later, has scored again. So Klink with 2 goals in a minute to make it 2-0. And I feel like I just got done saying that Dan Klink's going to score a lot of goals as a Tar Heel, and he's got 2 in a minute, and it's 2-0 North Carolina as we're under 31 minutes left here in this game. Beautiful setting, Dorrance Field, as it slides down the driveway of Carmichael, where Michael Jordan played, and now Courtney Banghart's UNC women play. The volleyball team, which is very good, is also there. The wrestling team, which is getting better by the year, also out of Carmichael. And I believe the gymnasts can be seen at Carmichael the majority of the time. Every once in a while, all those teams get to perform over at the Dean Dome, sometimes even at Memorial Auditorium, particularly when, for instance, the wrestling team plays Duke. They'll do something pretty special. And you've got Hooker Field, the incredible intramural field that is about 250,000 square feet of turf, and it seems like it's used all the time as you walk in. That's a great setting. Then you've got the big Bill Coleman practice complex for primarily the football team, but to be fair, all the teams use it, and they use it productively. So here are the Tommies now, putting a couple passes together, trying to get themselves back into this game. Berge comes over defensively, cleared out of there by Kropp. Klink with a little extra pep in his step after scoring a brace here, trying to run it down. So, you know, North Carolina is locked down, arguably one of the best defensive teams, not only in the ACC, but in the country. The question has been, who's going to score the goals? And now with Klink getting going as kind of that old-fashioned traditional number 9 who has the ability, as you see, to find the right pockets to be available, and obviously the ability to head it in, as he's got a couple headers here. North Carolina, they start scoring goals. Look out. Klink! Oh, my! And Klink's got a hat trick as Klink is going to head it in, and it's 3-0 North Carolina, and everybody say hello to Dan Klink. A hat trick for the freshman coming out of Towson, Maryland. As I mentioned earlier, wasn't really huge on the youth club circuit, which is really, if it's not international or portal, that is where you're finding most of your players. You don't always find them on the high school scene, but he was such a phenomenal high school player that he caught the attention of the Tar Heels coaching staff, and now breaks out with a hat trick here, and it's 3-0 North Carolina on top of the Tommies from St. Thomas out of Minnesota. So Dan Klink has heard his name called 3 times by the PA announcer, as it's 3-0. He came in late in the first half, gets to start the second half, and pays off Carlos Samuano. Dan Klink, the son of Amy and Rick. He's got a couple sisters, Abby and Sarah. Sarah, by the way, played college soccer. Meanwhile, Dan played prep soccer for Loyola Blakefield. He did play a little bit of club soccer with Pipeline SC in the ECNL. Was actually inducted in the National High School Coaches Association Hall of Fame, to give you an idea of how good he was in high school. Here's Klink going for 4. He was tabbed the 2024-25 Gatorade National Boys Soccer Player of the Year, as well as the 24 United Soccer Coaches High School National Player of the Year. Earned Gatorade Maryland Boys Soccer Player of the Year and United Soccer Coaches Maryland State Player of the Year in the 23 season as well. He also claimed United Soccer Coaches High School Club and ECNL All-America honors. In the meantime, he led his high school, Loyola Blakefield, to a 33-2-6 record and winning back-to-back MIAA Single A championships in 23 and 24. On the club circuit, which was minimal, as they play this to Dugan, the other sub with Klink, chance to make it 4-0. Nacho Abial, and he misses a pretty good opportunity. Playing for Pipeline, they were 105-7-6 with 4 conference titles in the ECNL. And Klink also was pretty good at golf and basketball in high school, a member of the National Honor Society. He is Klink, pretty special. Here's Dugan, back over to Czech. taken away by the Tommies. How about a hat trick for the freshman, scoring his first, second, and third goals of his career in very short order. And now with 26 minutes remaining, North Carolina looking very much like they're going to improve to 7-1-4 on the season. Already 18 in the RPI. Not like this is a massive RPI game, although I will tell you, in the Summit, you do play really good teams like Jamie Franks, another player with ties to Wake Forest, like Coach Lowry is for St. Thomas. And Denver routinely makes runs deep in the NCAA tournament. Klink, I mean, confidence is the best medicine for anybody, and he is feeling it out there right now as the Tommies try to send it long. It's going to roll out of bounds, and North Carolina will take their time. By the way, Klink, pretty smart too, a member of the National Honor Society and founder and president of the Loyola Blakefield Sports Analytics Club, and spent time volunteering with St. Francis Xavier, the Romero Center Ministries, Beans and Bread, and the Hereford Soccer Club. It's kind of the most possession that the Tommies have had in the game. And just as I say that, they lose it. Frogson will play it into space. Nikolai, pretty good pass to Dugan. He'll switch it. Klink, why not? Nacho Abial wanted it. He'll get it back. Nacho will drop it to Czech. Czech's going to take a shot from long distance, and that one is just a bit outside. Wow. Dan Klink has arrived in style as he has scored in the 56th minute and in the 56th minute and the 62nd minute. His first one assisted by Nikolai and Kropp, second one assisted by Dugan and Abial, and the last one assisted by Dugan and Nikolai. Couple yellow cards in this game as well, both going to St. Thomas More. 14 shots for North Carolina, 7 on frame, 3 in the back of the net. 4 corners for North Carolina, none for the Tommies. 3 offside, all belong to the Tommies. And it's 3-0 North Carolina. Berge, so composed, and he'll earn the throw-in. St. Thomas thought it came back and hit Berge, but good call. And actually looks like they're calling a handball even before the throw-in was there. So that means Frogson is over the ball. So Gunnar Bush, a senior out of Milwaukee, is coming into the game now for John Lowry in his 14th season leading this team, including moving the team up from D3 to D1, which I need to remind you has never happened on the men's side before. St. Thomas, the first team to do that. We've seen D2 go D1, but the straight jump from D3 to D1, excellent combination play here from the Tommies. Berge is called for the foul, so it'll be a free kick opportunity with 21-25 remaining in the game. And because of Dan Klink, the superstar player out of Maryland, it's 3-0. He's got all 3 goals. Over the ball now, Matisse Gouffra. Gouffra, good ball, and it's picked up by Cortez. Crop, who almost turned it over, fights hard to win it back. Love that about him. Dugan plays it to Czech. Czech's got Nikolai. Going to play it into space. Nikolai gets on his horse. He's got Klink making a run on the far post. Sends it all the way across, and it's picked up and handled there by Krenz, the German junior. Throwing for the Tommies and taken right back by North Carolina. There's Czech, always with a good touch. Dugan, pretty good touch as well. Nacho gets it around the goalkeeper, and Nacho makes it 4-0 North Carolina. Nacho Abial. And the Tar Heels are rolling in Chapel Hill. Goal number 4 on the season to go with an assist and a team-high 16 points for Nacho Abial. The transfer from SIUE, where he was coached by K.O. Wasserman, the former assistant coach at Michigan State, who got the head coaching job several years ago and has made SIUE a really good team. And Nacho Abial, who had the assist on the second goal from Klink, as it's the first goal by a player not named Klink, and it's 4-0 Tar Heels. Boy, 0-0 at the half. If you're John Lowry, you had to be just so pleased. Yeah, you did not have as many opportunities as the Tar Heels, but it wasn't like the Tar Heels were in double-digit shots and totally dominating every single facet of the game, although they were pretty dominant. That dominance has translated now into 4 goals in the second half, 3 from Klink and 1 from Abial, and it's 4-0 as Carlos Samuano going to make a couple changes here. And they'll do that with the clock still running, which makes sense with the score 4-0. Frogson's going to come out. He's not super happy about it. And also Sandmeyer's going to come out. Frogson said, hey, you're going to join me here, as neither one of us want to come out of this game as they're having a good time up 4-0. But coming into the game for Carlos Samuano is Parco O'Farrell, a player I know well because he actually saw some time with the full pro team, North Carolina FC, led by John Bradford. And Parco O'Farrell, wearing number 21, the senior now, out of Raleigh, North Carolina, will get some time. Also coming into the game, John McDowell, the junior from right here in Chapel Hill, went to Jordan High School, where Brianna Pinto also went. Here's Nacho Abial. Nacho waiting for some support. He'll get it to Czech. Behind Czech is Parco O'Farrell. O'Farrell going to try to get it back into space, and he can't do it as he'll knock it out of bounds. It'll come back to the Tommies. In a 15-minute span, 4 goals have found the back of the net for the Tar Heels, all in the second half. At 55:04, Dan Klink, first career goal for the Tar Heels, the freshman sensation. 37 seconds later, second career goal for Dan Klink. And then about 6 minutes after that, third career goal for Dan Klink. And about 9 minutes after that, Nacho Abial, the leading point scorer for the Tar Heels, makes it 4-0. Klink stays in there, and so does Ryan Dugan. Neither one of them started, but these two up front have been outstanding. And because of their play, Sarah has stayed on the bench, and so has Bertil Rygaard Hansen, two pretty good players as well. Here's O'Farrell. North Carolina out shooting the Tommies 15-2. O'Farrell, middle of the park, turned over by North Carolina. The Tommies don't exactly have great numbers here, but they might be able to get a shot off from distance, but that will not challenge Andrew Cordes at all, as Cordes, the senior out of Denver, spent some time at the University of Portland, where Nick Carlin Voigt, the former assistant coach at UCLA, has done a really nice job with the Pilots out of Portland. But make no mistake, the Tar Heels delighted to have Cordes, as he's had a, short of injuries, had a good career here for North Carolina. Speaking of injuries, there is a player for North Carolina on crutches on the far side. Too far away for me to make out if it was one that played in this game to start. As it looks like the Tar Heels are going to make some more subs with a 4-0 lead and under 15 minutes remaining in the game. O'Farrell cuts inside. Touch gets away from him. One back by the Tommies. Good opportunity for Parker O'Farrell to show what he can do. And with that, he wins it right back. Good job from Parker O'Farrell to stick with it. Little touch by Dugan. Starting to see just a little bit of frustration from the Tommies, down 4-0. It's the human part of it. And Klink will take a bow as he's got a hat trick here in the second half as he goes to the bench. And I was wondering if they would maybe give him the silent treatment like they do in MLB when somebody scores their first home run, but everybody is up and giving high fives. Dugan getting the same. Those two super subs really key. Klink especially with the hat trick. Off the head of Mate. Abial. As Sarah is back into the game. Somehow, some way, the Tommies stay onside. Mate doesn't bite. Shot, but right at Cordes. The University of St. Thomas men's soccer team out of Minnesota. They're in St. Paul. So they're not in both Minneapolis and St. Paul. They are located, their entire campus in St. Paul as part of the Twin Cities, and almost 5-0, just missing right there is, I believe, one of the players that, just came back into the game, and that's number 19, Bertil Rygaard Hansen, the sophomore out of Denmark. Pretty close to making it 5-0. Love to see Carlos Samuano go to even more players on the bench. particularly with the heart of the ACC season right around the corner. There will be limited opportunities for some of these players to get some time. Instead, he brought Sarah and Hansen back in. O'Farrell. And this is Hansen. Cross coming from the Tar Heels. Cleared out by the Tommies. O'Farrell drops it. Sarah over to Hansen. And then finally cleared. Abia now 15 goals as far as active UNC goal scorers. Sarah still leads the team with 17. North Carolina may not be done here with still 11 minutes and 25 seconds remaining in the game. In one game, number 9, Dan Klink, will climb all the way up there with Jack Sandmeyers. He'll pass Czech, Dugan, Kropp, O'Farrell, Ross, Bakayoko, and Berge on the active leaders for goals. And he did it in one game. And he's only looking up at Hansen with 4, Fisher with 5, Froxen with 6, Nikolai with 8, Abial with 15, and Sarah with 17. Now, some of those players, they have not scored all of those goals in a UNC uniform, but they have scored in collegiate soccer, as North Carolina did a really good job hitting the transfer portal. So here come the Tommies. Showing some heart here as it's knocked out of bounds over there by Nacho Abial. Actually, he somehow kept it in bounds. Oh, it did go out of bounds, so it'll be a throw-in for the Tommies as we're approaching 10 minutes remaining in this game. And pure domination in the second half from North Carolina with 16 shots. 4 have found the back of the net here in the second half. 8 on frame, as that'll sail over Cortez, and that'll happen right around 9:50. We'll see how much time he can take off. As I say that, they stop the clock for a sub. Luis Vera, the freshman from Costa Rica, wearing number 25, will come on for Nacho Abial, who scored goal number 4 in minute 71. So the 2 goal scorers now on the bench, well-deserved to hang out with Carlos Samuano and his teammates over there, watching on as North Carolina looking pretty comfortable with a 4-0 lead. Cortez has one thing in mind, and that's his 7th clean sheet of the season. Sarah keeps it alive. That was Hansen a moment ago. Vera, nobody home on the far stick, and it's going to go out of bounds. Now under 9 minutes remaining in regulation. Just one random thought for you, unrelated to the game, but really sad, as big fan of Diane Keaton, who has passed away at 79 years old, a wonderful actress and activist. May she rest in peace, and send our sympathies to her family, who of course I don't know, but you feel like you know Diane Keaton, who has been in so many wonderful, heartfelt movies. And as that one will roll out of bounds. we'll test the market with a younger crowd. We'll see if Chloe Walrad knows who Diane Keaton is, and I'm hoping the answer is yes. All right, good. Thanks, Chloe. If you didn't, Chloe, something's got to give. Do you get it? You do get it? Love that movie, by the way. I'm not afraid to say it. Those are the kind of things you start to talk about when it's 4-0 North Carolina and 7 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the game. More subs coming on now for Carlos Salwano, as you like to see that. Yaya Bakayoko, the grad student, will come into the game. Yaya with difference maker speed. Here's another opportunity for the Tar Heels. Sarah hits that one. And that was actually Luis Vera wearing the 25 jersey, the freshman out of Costa Rica. Taken away by North Carolina. Yaya Bakayoko. Played to the feet here of Nikolai. Nikolai just never looks like he's tired. Vera. Decent combination play. Vera gets it back to Bakayoko. As we're at 5:45 remaining in this game. Knocked out of bounds. It'll be a corner kick. Being told by our producer, Colin Beiersdorf, that Diane Keaton was also in The Godfather. That I did not know, which sadly says a lot about me. That my first nod was Something's Got to Give with Jack Nicholson. Good call out from Colin. Corner kick, driven far stick. Headed down and out of bounds. It'll come back to St. Thomas, the Tommies, who, because of the ties that bind John Lowry to the North Carolina market with the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, take on this game, as it's one of those situations, as was being explained to me by the coaching staff of the Tar Heels. They had an open date, and they looked around and saw St. Thomas, now a D1 program, also had an open date. And so they made it work. So out of the game is Mate, another solid game for him. Charlie Antonelius, the freshman from Sweden, will get into the game for North Carolina. See what he can do in the final 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Berge has gone the distance with Kropp, the two center backs. Vera gets out of trouble. Nikolai back to Vera. What a great ball. Now Vera gets it again. Boy, if he can just somehow tap that into space to Nikolai. Look at Berge. A brilliant tackle as he's getting better every single game. Nice cut back inside by Bakayoko. He'll switch the point of attack, and that'll give Antonelius, a freshman, a chance to dribble with it just a little bit here. as we are now under 4 minutes remaining. 4-0. The star of the game, Dan Klink, with a hat trick. His first 3 goals of his career with the Tar Heels, all 3 headed in by Klink, all in the second half. And then a little cherry on top from Nacho Avial to make it 4-0 North Carolina. Hansen, Bertil Rygaard Hansen to be exact. Still loose, goals open, and somehow they can't take advantage of it, as way out of position that time was Moritz Krenz. He was almost saying, go ahead and knock one in, as he was way outside of the goal box area. And as it turns out, it's a corner kick for North Carolina with 2:50 remaining in the game. Nikolai, nobody home on the far stick. So now the Tommies have it ripped away again. Good play there from John McDowell, making the most of his opportunity. That's McDowell keeping it alive. It looked like McDowell was fouled, and so they call the foul on McDowell. He's a little bit surprised by it. As this game is over, 17 shots for North Carolina, 8 on frame, 6 corner kicks. St. Thomas More got 4 shots off, 2 on frame, 0 corners. As North Carolina will move to 7-1-4. And St. Thomas will move to 6-3-3. It went clink, 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 and then a little nacho, and that's where we are, 4-0 with just over 90 seconds remaining in the game. Vera. Overlapping run coming from Rygaard Hansen. Vera switches the point of attack on a dime. Drop down to Antonelius. Inside, Sarah forgets the ball. Antonelius saves it, making the most out of his appearance. Bakayoko back over to Rygaard Hansen. Back inside again and picked up here by the Tommies as they're perhaps looking to get on the bus and get back to Minnesota. 1 minute remaining in the second half. "30 seconds counting down," and as that happens, we'll remind you that at 55:04, Dan Klink with his first career goal as a Tar Heel, assisted by Luka Nikolai and Dylan Kropp. Seriously, 37 seconds later, it's Klink again, assisted by Dugan and Nacho Abial. And then in 62nd minute, Klink again with the hat trick, assisted by Dugan and Nikolai. And then Nacho Abial, assisted by Dugan. And that is your final score, 4-0. So for our incredible crew of Chloe Walred and Colin Beiersdorf, I'm Dean Linke saying congratulations to Carlos Samuano and the Tar Heels as they move to 7-1.